6, 2015, copy of which is attached to this resolution, is proffered by Delaware at a cost not to exceed $50,000. And whereas Delaware has indicated that the cost of the services can be wrapped into the financing of the wastewater treatment plant, and that such cost would therefore not impact adversely or otherwise the town's 2015 annual budget. Whereas the town comptroller has heretofore confirmed that the provisions of this resolution shall pose no adverse impact to the town's finances, now therefore be it resolved that the performance of the services by Delaware, as outlined in the terms of its proposal, be, and the same hereby is approved, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to enter into an agreement with Delaware for the approved services and shall do so forthwith following.
I'm sorry, we'll finish up.
Okay.
Sure.
Forthwith following review and approval of such agreement by the attorney to the town. I'd like to move the foregoing resolution. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks.
Before we move on with the last whereas, you said, you read the resolution shall pose no impact, adverse impact. That's not the way it reads.
Whereas the town comptroller has heretofore confirmed that the provisions of this resolution shall pose an adverse impact to the town's finances.
Shall not.
Excuse me, George, town controllers are going to pose an impact?
Yes.
Okay, so how do we want the resolution to read?
It reads properly.
Exactly, thank you.
It was read incorrectly, but it reads properly.
Okay.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Yeah, I would just like to state, I know I was one of the ones, and I continue to oppose water and sewer rate increases until we know what our fund balance is. We did have an independent engineer who proposed to us and gave us a water and sewer rate breakdown, which made a lot of sense. You know, Hank Barber's been working with our water and sewer, and that's his job, that's his expertise. And we did have a presentation on the various different ways that you can charge the water and sewer rates. So, you know, I really hesitate to spend, I know it's not to exceed 50 grand, but there's a reason that number was put in there. It could be. So I don't know why, if we think it's going to be that much less, we would have a resolution stating that amount of money. Maybe, you know, something better. I would disagree with spending any money on it, but even if you were to do 10,000 and come back for another 10 if it costs more, would be a little more prudent. So I cannot support this resolution. The $50,000, even though it's getting rolled up in a bond, it's still costing you $50,000. It's just taking a longer period to pay it off. And, you know, if we do have $50,000 at any point in time in our budget, I would prefer to get accounting software so we can track the water and sewer rates as well as all the other rates and everything else. I think we have bigger issues in the town, and $50,000 could go a long way.
It's just funny because the amount of money that the town has spent on this sewer plant just in fines alone from DEC in 2012 was $27,000. I mean, we have spent so much money on fines related to this sewer plant. If you will recall, the December resolution to increase sewer rates, 144-2014, stated that the town has considered various methodologies for increasing costs and expenses while maintaining an equitable rate structure for all customers. So let me read that again. The town has considered various methodologies. That statement packs a wallop. However, this information was never shared with the board. I never got it, much less the residents, for the vote, which is partly why 3 of us voted no. Just as we are expected to trust the numbers that are coming from the broken beyond repair accounting system, it seems that we are also expected to trust that the method used to determine the new sewer rates is the best one for the town. But because of the massive $14 million cost of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, the simple math, in-house, this is the way we've always done it approach to the financing of the wastewater treatment plant project just won't cut it anymore, and residents deserve better. For this reason, I'm absolutely certain that we need to contract with Delaware to evaluate the town's sewer service and fee rate structures and properly and competently objectify adjustments to fee rates for sewer service in advance of the necessary servicing of debt associated with this project. I therefore implore the board to support this resolution tonight so that Delaware can get started right away and so that every bill for sewer services in the town can rest assured tonight that we are paying no more and no less than our fair share for this exorbitant and, by the way, growing cost of the plant upgrade. Delaware has done this for other towns successfully, and they can do it for us too. Thank you.
Anyone else?
The impetus behind the rate increase that was brought up in December, which I voted against, Mary and Sue voted against, was to pay for the debt service of the upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant, which is saving us millions of dollars. This is a totally different issue. So to act as if these two issues are the same, they are not. One is to reestablish new fee structures, which, as Susan spoke to earlier, we have 5 different districts, we have several different rate structures. We need to pay $600,000 or so by
2017.
2017. We need to come up with a way to pay for that debt service, which everyone equally benefits from. We don't need to act on it tonight. This resolution I'm going to be voting no on tonight doesn't mean that in a month or two, after talking with Mary Biacconi further, or talking about this issue further, I won't vote for it. But tonight, we don't need to vote on it tonight. Again, they're two very different issues. We have debt service that the town needs to pay, and we have a fee rate structure that wants to be restructured. So they're not the same thing. So understand that we need to look at this further, and again, it doesn't need to be done tonight. It doesn't need to be done tonight. Again, this money's due down the road. Now, we do have to address it in the next couple of months, but not tonight. So don't believe that this is the end-all, be-all, and this is the end of it. We're obviously going to be looking at this. The money has to be raised. We're going to raise the money. But also understand that the sewer upgrade was the way to go, and any debt service or any fees or anything that's associated with it was the smart move forward. So, again, let's calm down, and this is voted down tonight. It's going to be voted down. And let's go from there. Thank you.
I'd just like to know, Phil, how do you know it's going to be voted down?
Because I didn't even think it had a second. It doesn't even say a second on my thing, so I didn't even think it had a second. I didn't even think it was getting past the point of being
Well, I
reviewed.
asked for my second,
And
and
you got it.
I got it, but you
So why don't we vote?
seem to be speaking the whole word, and you said it won't be passed tonight. I was just wondering.
What, are you insinuating something?
Yeah, well,
It sounds as if you
It
are.
sounds like,
What?
it sounds like you already know.
I'm just hoping that common sense is there.
Councilperson Nash?
Yes.
Councilor Martina?
Yes.
Councilor Supervisor Wiley?
No.
Councilor Snyder?
No.
And Councilor Malone?
No. 37/2015, a resolution approving and authorizing the settlement of tax cert proceeding entitled Corellis Holding Corp. v. Town of E.G. After considerable discovery, inspection, site evaluation of the premises, current lease, income and expense review, appraisal reports, court conferences, and negotiation with petitioner's counsel. Town Cert Council and Assessor's Office have recommended a settlement agreement to the values set forth below. All the petitioners have waived any refunds stemming from 2013 assessment as provision of the settlement. 2013 proceedings for each of the above referenced cases have been joined for trial by the Honorable Andrew G. Cerisi, acting Supreme Court Justice. And on March 25th, 2015, the trial date has been removed from the court calendar pending approval of this resolution. The settlement will have no immediate impact on the finances of the town, as the county will pay the town's portion of any refund and charge the same paying back in next year's tax levy. The above captioned tax cert proceedings be settled in the amount and for the years stated above, that the tax cert council be and hereby is authorized to execute all documents necessary to effectuate said settlement. I move the foregoing resolution. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I have a question. Is it the amended amount or the changed amount that it's going to change to? Which one is the actual amount that amended or changed?
Amended.
So it's going from the original 702,900 to 260?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Walsh?
Yes.
Councilman Mandel?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson DiMartino?
No.
And Councilperson Matters?
Yes. Thirty-eight 2015, scheduling of a public hearing for the enactment of a local law to amend the town code of ethics, to provide for resident involvement and expanded purview of the Board of Ethics. Code of Ethics does not currently provide for town residents to request advisory opinions from the Board of Ethics and to submit to such Board of Ethics written complaints alleging violations of such a code of ethics by town employees, nor does it provide for such Board of Ethics to discretionarily investigate such complaints and recommend appropriate action to the town board regarding such complaints. And the town board hereby finds and determines that the amendments would A, be legally consistent with the provisions of New York General Municipal Law, Section 808, pursuant to informal opinion number 91-68 of the New York State Attorney General. B, further the proper administration of town government. And C, be in the best interest of the town's residents. Pursuant to New York Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 20, Subdivision 5, a public hearing regarding the enactment of a proposed local law to provide for the amendment be scheduled to be held on April 9, 2015 at 5 p.m. at the East Greenbush Town Hall, and the town clerk shall cause notice of such hearing to be published in the town designated newspaper and in the manner prescribed to meet the statutory requirement thereof. I'd like to move the foregoing resolution. May I have a second?
Before we do that, I'd like to propose an amendment, if anybody's up for it, to change the time to 6 p.m. on April 9th.
I'll second that.
So we can take a vote on that, and then changing it to 6.
Do you have a second?
I
Still
second
second.
Councilperson Mandel?
Yes.
Councilperson Walsh?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
And Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
And Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Is there any discussion on this resolution other than the two things? We're voting on the amended one. Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Mango?
Yes.
And Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes. 39, 2015, resolution reaffirming Resolution 68, 2011, adoption of monthly departmental reporting procedures, and Resolutions 181, 2011, establishing procedures for monthly department reporting. Whereas the town of East Greenbush unanimously adopted Resolution 68, 2011, resolution establishing procedures for monthly department reporting on April 20th, 2011, and whereas the town board of the town of East Greenbush unanimously adopted Resolution 181, 2011, resolution establishing procedures for monthly department reporting on December 14th, 2011, and whereas the provisions of Resolution 68, 2011 and 181, 2011 have not been adhered to, and whereas the town board believes that in the interest of open and transparent government, the provisions of the Resolutions 68, 2011 and 181, 2011 should be adhered to, and whereas the town controller is herefore confirmed that none of the provisions of this resolution shall pose an adverse impact to the town's finances, now therefore be it resolved that the town of East Greenbush does hereby reaffirm the provisions adopted in Resolution 68, 2011, resolution establishing procedures for monthly department reporting, and by reporting, repeating, and readopting those same provisions herein, and be it further resolved that the town of East Greenbush does hereby adopt the attached report formats, and be it further resolved, the department heads are hereby instructed to submit monthly reports in this format given to the town clerk by the 10th day of the month following the month being reported on. And be it further resolved that a copy of department head reports shall be made available on the town's webpage as soon as practical following receipt by the town clerk. The foregoing resolution is moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, sir.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Councilman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Malone?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilman DiMartino?
Yes.
Councilman Manis?
Yes.
40, 2015, a resolution for secret determination for Napa Auto Parts. The town of East Greenbush received an application for the site plan review known as Napa Auto Parts Site Plan located at 300 Columbia Turnpike, tax parcel number 155.17-16-4, prepared by Hart Engineering, and the town planning board, after considering the comments and opinions of the project review team and planning board's designated engineer, and after reviewing the proposed site plan, took a hard look at the potential environmental impacts of this project by carefully considering and reviewing the full environmental assessment form, considering all the applicant's proposed mitigation measures as they relate to environmental issues, and more particularly to traffic, fire, rescue, and MS4 stormwater management, and recommended town board issue a negative declaration under secret, and town board hereby finds that the project will not have a significant impact on the environment, and issues a negative declaration for the project. I'd like to move the foregoing resolution. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Yes, I would just like to say that I'm going to be abstaining from Resolution 40 and Resolution 41, because it states in 41, the town board has received the site plan application materials, but I didn't receive anything. So I'm not going to do the whole one.
It was originally came before the board, was referred to the planning board. You guys declared yourself as lead agency in the beginning of the project,
When was that?
a long time ago, over a year.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
And I'd just like to state that I'll be abstaining from both, as my brother is the engineer on this project.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilman Malone?
Yes.
Councilman Mandel?
Abstain?
Councilman DiMartino?
Yes.
And Councilman Manis?
Abstain.
41, 2015, site plan approval, Napa Auto Parts Store. The town board, as lead agency, issued a negative declaration for the project on March 18, 2015, resolution number 20-2015, and has reviewed the application materials and submitted the application materials to the project review team for technical review, and the site plan has been revised in response to various concerns raised by the town planning board and the project review team, and based on its review, the recommendations of the project review team and the revisions made to the site plan, the town planning board has recommended approval of the site plan with certain conditions to the town board. Hereby approves the final site plan of the project subject to the following conditions. Number 1, satisfying outstanding technical details as determined by the planning board's designated engineer and town planning department. And number 2, all remaining fees and escrow are paid to the town. And number 3, the design professional will be required to certify that all work has been completed in accordance with the approved plans prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy or certificate of compliance, and all certifications are to be submitted to the building department prior to the issuance of the CO or CC. I'm going to move the foregoing resolution. I have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank
Is
you.
there any
Okay,
discussion?
yeah, on, Phil thought he heard on the third whereas that you quoted resolution 20-2015, and it should be 40-2015, so just to clarify that.
Do we have to do anything?
We have access, no, just,
Okay,
so it's on the
sorry,
record that it's
yeah.
40-2015.
Yeah, and in response to what Jim told me, it just comes to mind that if something's coming before us that we received materials for, say, months and months ago, it would probably be a good idea to ensure the board has everything they need in the present.
Well, I think this was on the agenda back at the pre-board last week, so that question
Yeah, but
doesn't
that's not
raise.
enough time to review a site plan application. So a week is
That's what we have a
enough.
planning board for.
I have a full-time job. Yeah, but I need to, it says the town board has reviewed the site plan application materials and recommends.
Okay.
I gotta review it myself.
Supervisor Wiley?
Yes.
Councilor Malone?
Yes.
Councilor Senego?
Staying.
Councilor Martino?
Yeah.
And Councilor Smathers?
Abstain.
I think kids want to
I just signed.
come on up and everybody, council person here will all sign.
We did that only for 1 month. There should be 2 resolutions. One
Just need to sign
to
this anyway.
present something that hasn't been. That guy's a joke. He's still him. Phil. Oh, well. Well, how did you find that out?
Probably everything.
I think my ex is on. Yeah. 40.
All right, let's,
42.
Resolution 42-2015, establishing a standard administrative procedure for towns compliant with mandates imposed by the Rensselaer County Civil Service Commission relative to its processing, approval, and monitoring of the town's personnel-related transactions. Whereas pursuant to the provisions of New York State Civil Service law and prescribed rules and regulations promulgated thereunder, the Rensselaer County Civil Service Commission requires the town of East Greenbush to comply with certain procedural requirements, including the regular and prompt submission of certain documentation related to the processing, approval, and monitoring of personnel-related transactions. Whereas such personnel-related transactions presently include, but may not necessarily be limited to in the future, classification of all positions of town employment, appointments to such positions, and periodic certification of payroll relative to such positions. And whereas pursuant to Civil Service Law, Section 101, the town's full compliance with foregoing requirements is critical in order to ensure that disbursement of payroll is legal and the town officers are not subject to sanctions. And whereas the town comptroller is heretofore confirmed that none of the provisions of this resolution shall pose an adverse impact to the town's finances. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor and/or his designee or designees, as he may determine, shall effectively, immediately, fully comply with each and all of the requirements and formally incorporate them into the town's standard administrative procedure. And be it further resolved that the town clerk shall forward a copy of this resolution to the commission's chairman, Daniel E. Moran, following the town board's approval of the minutes of the meeting. I'd like to move the foregoing resolution. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dick.
Is there discussion on this resolution?
I would just like to say that I'm extremely pleased to announce that Chairman Moran of the Rensselaer County Civil Service Commission informed the supervisor on March 6th that the town of East Greenbush has achieved under state law, payroll certification is required before town employees in classified service can legally be paid. Since according to civil service, payroll certification has not occurred in the town since the year 2000, this is a significant accomplishment for the board, and one of which we can be very proud. To demonstrate the town board's commitment to following civil service mandates throughout the year 2015 and to achieving timely payroll certification again in January of 2016, I am putting forth this resolution tonight and ask the board for your support. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank Jessica. She did a lot of work on getting this all together. She spent a month with Ashley Bombard. They worked really, really hard getting this going. And it was a lot of hard work, Jessica. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Sorry. Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Mango?
Yes.
And Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Good.
43, 2015, a resolution to approve the addition of new resolutions. We have two new resolutions. 44, 2015, a resolution authorizing attorney to the town to enter into a certain professional service agreement with Public Sector HR Consultants, LLC. And Resolution 45, 2015, a resolution approving the budget and the allocation for the chasing companies on the wastewater treatment plant. Be it resolved that the addition of the above resolutions require majority town vote, and be it resolved that the town board will vote the stated resolutions. Do I have a second on the resolution?
I'll second it, Sue.
Is there any discussion? Councilperson Mango?
Yes.
Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
And Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
44, 2015, a resolution authorizing attorney to the town to enter into a certain professional services agreement with Public Sector HR Consultants, LLC. The town board of East Greenbush has received notification of a certain complaint relating to the conduct in the workplace, and the town board wishes to authorize the attorney of the town to have services of a personal consulting firm in responding to this matter. David L. Gruenberg is hereby authorized to enter into a certain professional services agreement with Public Sector HR Consultants, LLC at $150 per hour, not to exceed $4,500 for 30 hours. The town shall pay the cost of such services upon presentation of proper vouchers. I'd like to move the foregoing resolution. Have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on, excuse me, on this resolution? Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Councilperson Mango?
Yes.
Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
And Councilperson Matters?
Yes.
Resolution 42, 2015, a resolution approving the budget reallocation for the Shazin companies on the wastewater treatment plant project. Yeah, that's what Sean Oh, 45, 2015, I'm sorry, I didn't know I misspoke. Whereas the Chasing Companies is one of the engineering firms contracted on the wastewater treatment plant project, and whereas budgets for the project have been established initially for each task and approved by the town board, and whereas the Chasing Company has presented the town board with a reallocation of funds that will result in a zero-sum charge in the project bottom line that will allow the Chasing Company to properly track and effort associated with the necessary and critical construction inspection services provided, and the controller states confirms that the reallocation of funds will not pose an adverse effect on the budget. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the Chasing Company's budget reallocation to the wastewater treatment plant. May I have a second on this foregoing resolution?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I have some more questions for Jim. Could you help me?
Absolutely.
Some of these questions. I'm curious to know why the additional $57,000 on the construction inspection line is not addressed as part of the additional $120,000 inspection cost that was recently approved. This represents an almost 50% increase over what we gave you in December.
This is not an increase in our contracted value. What we are doing is, we are contracted totally with lump sum. There's several tasks there that were lump sum tasks. We're paid that money regardless when this project ends. What we're saying is that we're not gonna spend that amount of money because we wanna properly do the inspection, because at EFC we want to make sure we're tracking it properly. We're gonna be able to complete the work as we had talked. Whether or not we bill it out under task 3 as a lump sum, or we bill it out under task 4, this just allows us to properly charge our time so that when we run out of the money for the inspection services, we just don't bill it out under this task, because it'll look like we're not doing any inspection work at all. So it's really taking an agreed amount of money that we had already allocated for construction engineering and construction administration, and also the reimbursable expenses, which is all part of the lump sum, into that $57,000, so that it's available for properly tracking those inspections.
So you've got this lump sum, the new budget amount column at the end. It's like $608,000. Is that considered a lump?
That's everything.
And everything comes out of there and gets dispersed in these lines?
If you look, it says increase, decrease on the thing.
Right.
Each one in the faded in parentheses is reducing the budget that was allocated. The construction engineering services, the original agreed to budget is $34,500. We are transferring $9,000 from that, which was in our lump sum contract,
Right,
moving it into the construction inspection service.
right, $123,000.
And on the $121,000 task, which is construction administration, we're taking $23,000 out of that lump sum agreed price,
Right.
moving it into the construction inspection task. And then on the reimbursable expenses, mileage, all the different things that we would be afforded for, we're transferring $25,000 from that task because we haven't anywhere approached spending that kind of money that was envisioned in the beginning of the project, and moving it in. So the total negatives from these lump sum, these other tasks, are just being moved into a task for accounting purposes. So that
Okay, so you don't anticipate coming back later and saying, uh-oh, we don't have enough money in construction administration. We don't have enough money in construction engineering.
No, I do not anticipate coming back for any of those services saying that. We, with the budgets that we have left, the $34,500 will still be left at $25,500. $121,000 will still be left at $98,000 total budget. And we expect, based upon that, we even have some roaming there. We don't expect even to spend that much money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Councilman DiMartino?
Yes.
Councilman Mango?
Yes.
Councilman Supervisor Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Stallone?
Yes.
And Councilman Smanik?
Yes.
Bill, I'm going to ask you to give us a hand here with this oral resolution for the search trial.
Yes, please. If I could, for the board members, I'll read off, and bear with me, because I'm going to take a lot from your 43 resolution tonight, to do an initial resolution of approving a late file, and then we'll do the late file if the first resolution passes. So if you could bear with me this, and then one of the board members will have to move what I'm about to say, and another one would have to second it. The proposed resolution would be Resolution 46-2015, a resolution to approve the addition of new resolution. Whereas Resolution 13-2015, resolution for timely submission of resolutions, called for any items on board meeting agendas that were not presented at pre-board be required a majority vote to be considered for a vote. And whereas an additional resolution is being presented to the board for consideration at this month's town board meeting, and whereas the town controller, and I break here to say, hey, George, adding a resolution that simply approves adding a resolution doesn't have any, okay, thank you. But whereas the town controller has confirmed the board's adding additional resolutions to the agenda will not impact the budget, and whereas the following resolution, Resolution 46-2015, a resolution authorizing emergency remediation services, I break here to say to our engineer, Mr. Connors, this is emergency remediation for the spill at the East Greenbush wastewater treatment facility.
Absolutely.
All right. 46-2015, a resolution authorizing emergency remediation services at the East Greenbush wastewater treatment facility, and the payment therefore is added to the agenda even though it was not at the pre-board meeting, and be it resolved that the addition of the above resolution requires a majority town board vote, be it further resolved that following the majority vote, if it's accomplished herein, the town board will vote on the stated resolution. Would a board member be willing to move that?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
And then you have a second, thank you.
You know, on the new resolution? And I need a copy tomorrow because you talk very fast.
Can I type it up for you tonight and get it to you tomorrow?
Yep.
Because I had to wing it.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilman Malone?
Yes.
Councilperson Bengals?
Yes.
Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
Councilperson Smathers?
I'm going to abstain, I'm just not comfortable.
This is just a brief over Okay, now vote for the resolution to move forward.
If I may read that resolution, this would be resolution 47. The first resolution we just did was 46.
Right.
Yes.
Then this is resolution 47-2015. Whereas in order to remediate the recent spill at the East Greenbush wastewater treatment facility, emergency services are needed, and the services of ServPro and Jane Whitehouse and Associates, who I believe is the industrial hygienist company, and such other contractors and professionals as are necessary to remediate the aforementioned emergency spill, is hereby approved and confirmed with all payments to be made from insurance proceeds hereafter received by the town. Therefore, Mr. Controller, if it's from insurance proceeds, does it in any way adversely affect the 2015 budget or the finances of the town?
Just a little caveat there. One of the council persons did ask if there'd be a deductible. There is a $1,000 deductible.
No payments are allowed from the deductible yet. I think that would have to be at the tag end.
Right.
Okay. And we're going to have to stick in something, George, with you to keep a separate account for all remediated funds? Okay. But then would you agree that there is no effect immediately? Okay. Then, having the controller confirm the foregoing, it is hereby agreed and confirmed that all payments are to be made from insurance proceeds hereafter received by the town, with all such funds to be placed into and then paid out of a separate, quote, remediation account, close quote, established and monitored by the town controller, with an initial deposit payment of $10,000, is that correct, Mr. Khan? $10,000 to be made to ServPro as soon as practical. Would one of the board members be willing to move that?
I'll second.
Supervisor Langley?
Yes.
Councilperson Bengals?
Yes.
Councilperson Malone?
Yes.
Councilperson DiMartino?
Yes.
Councilperson Smathers?
I'm going to abstain again for the same reason.
Motion adjourned, have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, are you about this? Supervisor Langley?